I'm Mario Andretti, and you are listening to Jack Arut's Wind Tunnel.
Now, say it in Italian.
Sono Mario Andretti e stai ascoltando Jack Arut sul Wind Tunnel.
You're entering the Wind Tunnel with Jack Arut. No spin, no bull, all Jack. Wind Tunnel is brought to you by
Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR.
Here is your host, Jack Arut.
Well, that was fun. My thanks to Mario Andretti for his introduction. And to you, I say welcome. I'm glad you're here. I think you'll enjoy this week's episode. You see, it's an eclectic mix of international, homegrown, and young guns. Takuma Sato is the only Indianapolis 500 winner that has ever hailed from Japan. And he's put his silver image on the famous Borg Warner Trophy twice in the last 3 years. Hot off his dirt race at Bristol, Ryan Blaney will join me, and we'll talk about his Cup accomplishments as well as what life in the fast lane is like for a 20-something. And with March being Women's History Month, I'll be visiting with one of NASCAR's top female short track executives who is stepping back, don't say retiring, from her general manager duties at the famous South Boston Speedway at the end of this season. And we will showcase for you the 22 NASCAR Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series tracks that, with your help, can win Advance Auto Parts My Track Challenge and a fat check for $50,000. But before all of that, we need to catch you up with this week's racing news. Here is the often imitated but never duplicated Wind Tunnel news and notes. The much-anticipated dirt track races for both the Camping World Trucks and the Cup Series of NASCAR at the Bristol Motor Speedway saw Mother Nature push both the trucks and the Cup race to Monday. First up Monday was the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series.
It has been a dominant day. He won stage 1, he won stage 2, and he has led the most laps, more than 100 today, and he's about to put the finishing touches on his first career Truck Series win. Martin Truex Jr. on the dirt at Bristol.
Holy hell, boys. That's awesome.
A little surprised to be here, to be honest with you. So, just really had a lot of fun today, honestly. I just really came in here wanting to run the truck race to get experience for the Cup car and also just to, see what it was like and have some fun.
After some track prep, it was the Cup Series turn, and that race went down to overtime.
Close as he can get to Joey Logano. Stenhouse sends it in, but Logano is going to win the dirt race at Bristol. How about that? Joey Logano.
There at the end was nuts, and they watered down the racetrack. That's the thing with this dirt racing, man. You just don't know what you're going to have next, and you're forced to figure something out quickly. So TJ, my spotter, did a good job at telling me where Denny was, and I tried moving up, but it takes such a different driving style to make that work.
Meanwhile, NASCAR's Advance Auto Parts Weekly Series tracks started rolling out their 2021 campaigns. And for that, we go to Performance Racing Network's At the Track host, Lenny Baticki.
Hey, Jack, thanks for having us on. We'll start out at the birthplace of NASCAR stars, Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina. Josh Kosick was victorious on Saturday night. Then we'll go out to Roseville, California, the third of a mile oval called All-American Speedway. Aiden Daniels, the winner there. Then up the road a piece to Evergreen Speedway in Monroe, Washington. Naima Lang victorious at Evergreen. Now, a couple of other tracks were able to scoot in some practice. Idaho's Meridian Speedway and Virginia's Larry King Law's Langley Speedway. That's all for us now. Check out our shows, PRN's At the Track, and please give us a follow at PRN's At the Track on Twitter. Take care, Jack. Have a great race week. Bye-bye.
And that's this week's installment of our Wind Tunnel News and Notes.
Coming up next,
Ryan Blaney wins the Folds of Honor Quick Trip 500 in a shocker.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
He's 27 years old and followed his father from the Buckeye State of Ohio into NASCAR's Cup Series. He's already headed to this year's playoffs after winning the Folds of Honor race 2 weeks ago in Atlanta. He finished 8th this past weekend, driving the Advance Auto Parts Ford Mustang at the Bristol Dirt Track, while his Penske teammate, Joey Logano, went to victory lane, becoming the 7th different driver in as many races this season to take a checkered flag. Ryan Blaney joins us right now. All right. I want to know, Ryan, how was Bristol?
Yeah, Bristol was definitely a neat experience. Definitely an up and down day. I think a lot of guys had up and down days. Luckily, ours ended on a positive note, driving back through the field and running 8th, but after getting tore up, pretty good. But just something, that was not really familiar with anybody, not familiar with my crew chief, Todd Gordon, with me, with a lot of other teams of, all right, how are you going to attack this race as the track changes, and what changes to your car do what? Not a lot of people had very much knowledge of it, but I'm really proud of the effort we made to kind of get it fixed up there after we got tore up, and I thought it put on a pretty good show, so we made the most of it and got out of there with a good finish. So overall, a pretty good day for us.
How much dirt experience do you actually have?
Not a lot. Everyone thinks, oh, Blaney, he has so much dirt experience because his dad and stuff. And I didn't grow up doing that stuff. I grew up really mostly pavement, asphalt, late models, and dad is the dirt guy. So it was a pretty new thing to me. But I was able to pick dad's brain a little bit. And he was able to give me some good insight. But yeah, me myself, I don't really have much dirt experience at all.
All right. So visibility was an issue in the accident for you, but not only you, anybody that was not leading seemed to have visibility problems. How bad was it out there?
Yeah, it was pretty bad. Just the time of day at that moment. The sun was kind of setting, and it sets over there in turn 1 and 2, and just the dust also you put into it, and it's just, you can't see. You literally cannot see anything. The only person that could see was the leader. And, when we got tore up, I had no idea where I was at. And I think a lot of guys say they had no idea where they were at on the racetrack. And we just kind of all got together there. But visibility was a problem. But luckily, NASCAR was on their toes and did a pretty good job of watering the track back down to where it needed to be to kind of kill the dust a little bit for a while. But I'm fully on board of, next year, if that was a night race, it's, the visibility is going to be way better. And I think the track will be way better. It won't get so dusty, and it'll give not only the drivers an easier time, but the fans a better time too, to watch it.
Well, what do you think, Ryan, about the idea next year of taking what I call the road course application, have the light on in the rear bumper, and just what the hell, add the windshield wiper?
I don't know if a windshield wiper will wipe dirt off.
Well, put a Swiffer on it.
But you need it to kind of, yeah, it might help. You never know. I know we're kind of in a box on how wet can you get the track, until it starts plugging up radiators and plugging windshields. So we're kind of got our hands tied a little bit. So unless you make huge changes to the cooling of our cars and take the windshields out and put screens in, and then protecting all the electrical stuff that's open, you can make it work. But yeah, it's a little bit tough. It's not, obviously they're not your standard dirt car, dirt late model, sprint car. But I'm sure they'll take this experience, NASCAR will, and tweak it for years to come.
All right, let's look ahead by looking backwards. And what I'm talking about is that win in Atlanta. What's that allowed you and your team, and especially Todd, to do with the rest of the races?
Yeah, it was big, to get that win early in the year for sure at Atlanta. And, really, as far as our mindset of kind of how we approach the next races, I don't really think changes too much. You go into every week, whether you have a win, no wins, or 5 wins, trying to win the race. So I don't really think it changes our mindset up much. You take your normal risks and weigh the options out like you would any other week. But it is nice overall to get a win early in the year, be pretty much locked into the playoffs. I say that, but heck, already 7 drivers and 7 races have won. So we could get over 16 this year. That's definitely not out of the question, but it's just nice to get one early to where, you can like, all right, we got one, let's keep going. But as far as mindset changes approaching races, I really don't see much difference.
All right. After this Easter break, it's on to the paperclip. When I say Martinsville, what does Ryan Blaney say?
Man, that's pretty much a home track for me. I grew up in High Point, North Carolina, and that's about 45 minutes away from Martinsville. Honestly, I grew up closer to Martinsville than I did Charlotte. And I went to many races watching Dad run, and I say just close out the deal on that racetrack. We've had such good runs there in the past. We ran second there both races last year, had a car to win. Just trying to close it out there. We've been super good in the past, like I said, and it's so hard to win there. It's so hard to put together 500 good laps, and I know we can do it. Just a matter of executing all the way, but kind of redemption, I guess you could say, just finally wanting to win one in Martinsville and have that, have that one checked off your box.
As I said, bringing you on here in the wind tunnel, you're a 20-something. There's a handful of 20-somethings now at the ultimate level, the cup level. Tell me a little bit about the interaction, you fellow young guns, back and forth. I know your relationship with Mr. Elliott, the Cup champion, but away from the racetrack or even in the driver's motor coach lot, is there a lot of back and forth and maybe even a little trash talking between you cats?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of us are the same age, like you said. And, you usually grow up racing with those guys. I grew up racing with Chase and Bubba, and known those guys for many, many years. We're the best friends on and off the track, but on the track, we probably race each other harder than anybody, just because you kind of want those bragging rights. And Chase definitely has the bragging rights right now of being the champion. But, yeah, it's good to have, friends who you've known for a long time you can compete against. But I think it makes, at least me, it kind of pushes me harder to want to beat them, week in and week out. But we have the utmost respect for each other at the same time of being the most competitive with each other. And yeah, there is a little bit of trash talk that goes on, but not much. At the end of the day, we all want to see each other succeed, but you want to be the one that succeeds more than your buddies.
You guys still involved in your garage band?
No, I have not picked up a microphone in a long time. So
what happened? What happened?
I lost it. I just lost being able to do it. I just didn't do it for a while. And yeah, we enjoyed me and Bubba Wallace. We're big heavy metal fans, and he's a pretty good drummer. And we messed around with that for a little bit, but we were not very good, and didn't really have the time to keep doing it the way we needed to do it. Our normal schedule is so busy; it's hard to kind of find time to do it. And if you're not doing that stuff all the time, you kind of get rusty at it and lose it. So the garage band has been put on hold for a while, but you never know when it can get kicked back up again.
NASCAR is off for the holiday weekend for Easter and Passover. You get a rare opportunity to get away from the week-to-week grind that the NASCAR Cup Series is. What are you doing?
Yeah, our schedule's so long, and we have a few off weeks here throughout the year. And it's nice to get a little bit of a break, not only for us, but, everyone on the team too, to kind of spend time with their families, and especially for the Easter weekend. And me and some friends, we're going down to Charleston, South Carolina, and celebrating a birthday of a good friend of ours. And so that'll be fun. I've never been to Charleston before. I heard it's beautiful. So looking forward to getting down there and just spend some time with some good friends.
When you go out and hang out with some of your friends, do you go incognito?
Well, I just not really, just dress normal. And if you recognize with the mask going on right now, it's a little bit easier to be incognito. So that part has been a little bit easier, but no, I enjoy, the one thing I miss about pre-COVID, is interacting with people and fans and things like that. And that's kind of been put on hold with everything going on. So I would say I don't really go purposely incognito. I just dress kind of how I dress. And if you recognize me, great. And I'll talk to you and have a beer with you or something. But yeah, it's good to meet new people and meet fans who are watch you and follow you racing. But, with everything going on, you still have to be conscious and careful about what you're doing for sure.
Last question. What is your beer of choice that you'll be consuming in Charleston?
Oof, that's $1 million question right there. I'm actually a huge bourbon fan, big whiskey bourbon fan. And, man, I've one of my favorite countries I ever visited was Ireland. And, I became a huge Jameson and Guinness fan over there. And that's kind of carried over to the States. So I would say I'm going to be searching for some Jameson and Guinness and see where that takes me.
I think you can find that in Charleston. Listen, we appreciate your visiting with us and wish you the best of luck. You've already got your ticket punched for the playoffs. So the rest of the season, just get yourself ready for those 10 races. And maybe, just maybe, you can unseat your best friend and you can be the 2021 NASCAR Cup champion.
Well, I appreciate it. That's the goal. And thank you for having me.
We'll be back with more here on Jack Arut's Wind Tunnel right after this.
We're hitting the brakes, but we'll be back on track after this. Coming up next.
South Boston Speedway. It doesn't get any more storied than that. Sobo, as most know it, is located in South Boston, Virginia, a beautiful small town in Southside, Virginia, just above the North Carolina state line.
You will meet South Boston Speedway's General Manager Cathy Rice right after these messages.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
I'm Kyle Rickey from MRN Radio, the voice of NASCAR. They are the foundation of American motorsports, the launching pad for racing's future. Time now for the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap, brought to you by the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, driving local racing and local communities forward.
For 21 years, my next guest has steered the fortunes of the South Boston Speedway as its general manager. And as Women's History Month comes to a close, we wanted to showcase her here on Victory Lap. Cathy Rice joins us. Cathy, it is a real honor to have you inside the wind tunnel. Well, I want to start right off because we talked about in our introduction that for more than 2 decades, you've been the general manager at South Boston, and yet your racing heritage stretches far further back.
That's true, Jack. That's been doing this for a long, long time. Ever since I was a little girl, used to come to South Boston and watch the races. And then, of course, I married in 72, I married my husband, which was crew chief, and he was in racing at the time. His brother drove the race car. And then my son got, I had Chris Rice, my son. I used to bring him to the racetracks when he was just, well, actually, I was carrying him, to be honest with you. And our family is just a racing family, been that way for 30 plus years.
I've always believed that if someone on the staff of a racetrack, especially a short track, has been there and done that, and what I'm talking about inside a race car or as a mechanic, it gives a different perspective to how to operate the track. Do you agree?
I agree with you 100%. As I tell the competitors, I've been on that side. I know what it costs. I know how hard it is. And in the short tracks, they do it. Most of them do it for a hobby. They do not do this to make a living with. And two, my husband builds a race car, so I know that side of it as well. And it was just, and I know both sides. I know of course, the operational side now, because I've been here for so long, and I knew the competition side, being with Jeff Burton, Elliott Sadler, and Hermie Sadler, and some of the others that I've actually went out and helped score. I used to do timing and scoring. That's when I first started, and I absolutely loved it.
All right. I need to know, where did the fried bologna sandwich come from?
The fried bologna sandwich came from Elliott Sadler. And you know, the ones that know Elliott calls him Elliott Sadler. He actually lived with me. I feel like I'm one of his moms. And he came to the racetrack growing up and sat, and I think he eats 17, 16 or so bologna burgers that day. In one day, he ate that many. How in this world that child didn't get sick, I'll never know. But I guess that's our famous bologna burger. It's good for you.
All right. 2020 was not good to any of the Advanced Auto Parts weekly series tracks in NASCAR. You were forced, as the general manager of South Boston, to shutter your racetrack. How difficult was that?
It was devastating. It really was. We got calls from our competitors, our fans wanting to come and race, wanted to come see a race so bad. And we kept hoping. Every month we would hope our governor would lift the restrictions. And of course, he never did for that 2020 year. So we had no choice. And to protect everyone and us as well, we decided with the, of course, Pocono Raceway owns us, Nick Ikdalski and the Mattioli family. We all decided, well, it's nothing else to do, but we'll just start looking at 2021. And but it was very heartbreaking. It was so many people that would come by and take pictures and stand outside and they would say, I wish we could race. I wish we could race, but there was no chance to. We didn't want to put anybody in that predicament of being sick or anything like that. And we've been very lucky here in South Boston.
So how did you maintain contact with two of the most important facets of short track racing? A, the competitors, and even more importantly, B, the racing fans.
Well, what we did, of course, we would reach out to them. I worked from home for about 3 months because I closed the office, and we came back in May or June, and we would reach out to our competitors. We actually sent them gift certificate to come and race, practice with us in 2021. We also offered anything that was spent in 2020, such as tickets or practices or anything like that. We would honor that in 2021. Sponsorships, we just rolled over into 2021. And a lot of our sponsors are still undecided about coming back this year, but has asked, can we just roll it over in 2022? And of course they can. We're here to help them just like they do help us.
Now you opened up twin 75s, and we visited with Peyton Sellers a while back here on the Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap segment of our Wind Tunnel broadcast. And he talked about the fact that, as hard as it was to finish second in the national championship without running at South Boston, how big was it to open up and have the late models and the rest of your divisions show up on that twin 25 weekend?
Oh, it was wonderful. You could not imagine the smile on people's face when they walked through the gates, the competitors as well as the fans. They were all, and Jack, they really went by the guidelines. I mean, they would wear their mask and stay social distance. And, it was just wonderful how the fans and the competitors worked with us. And I had a call from H.C. Sellis, which is Peyton's brother, crew chief. And he said, you don't know how good it feels to turn right coming into South Boston Speedway. Last year, going by the track, I wanted to turn in so bad and, and race there. So things like that just really make you feel like you've done something right. And, we're back on track. We've got a race this weekend, looking forward to that. And everything seems to be going very well.
In my years as a short track promoter, it was back in what we call the heyday of modifieds, where basically all you had to do is cook the hot dogs, open up the pit area, open up the grandstands, and the cars and the drivers would bring the fans. I'm sure that's what you experienced when you first started in this business, but it is changed so much. There's maintenance, what I call on the inside of the racing fence, and then creativity on the outside where the fans sit. Do you agree with me there?
I do. And our fans love twin races. And I think our competitors really like the twin races because it gives an opportunity. If something happens in the first race, they can fix it for the second race. And they all work together, and to mirror what you just said, as far as the families following the competitors, we pull within 100-mile radius on our weekly races, and they are fans, they're friends, family, and it's a family sport. I mean, it has grown to be a family sport, and you see so many children come out.
When I introduced you, I warned everybody not to say the R word, retirement, in your presence, but you are stepping back. And I wonder how big a change is that going to be for you?
It's going to be an extremely big change. I think about it every day, Jack. I cry a little bit, then I'm happy. And, it's going to be a change. Like I told Nick, I said, Nick, I'll always be here. This is my home. This is where I was born and raised, and I'll always be here at this track. And he's always said, you're going to be part of that track as you always will be. And then just a couple of weeks ago, I actually got the Lifetime Achievement Award from our Chamber of Commerce. And I was lost for words, and I'm never lost for words. I told him it was just, I didn't even know what to say, but to thank the community and all. But I'm just going to step back a little bit. I've got a lovely couple that has joined our forces, Chase and Carly Brashears, and I know they'll do a great job. They love the sport, and I hope they will take my legacy and learn and just take it and use it as the years go on. But I'll still be around. I'll do some consulting with them and hopefully still be a part of the track. I feel sure I will. And I'm looking forward to it. I'll get to go with Chris a little bit more and bug him a little bit.
Listen, you've lived through a number of different corporations, companies that have branded the weekly series. And yet the Advanced Auto Parts program that was launched 1 year ago in the midst of a pandemic seems to be more focused on creating a relationship between the short track, their outlets locally, and they back it up with a pretty sizable cash program. I know your racetrack is one of the 22 that is hoping that the fans in advancemytrack.com vote early and vote often so that you can bring 50K to South Boston Speedway.
Oh, yes, that would be wonderful. We could take that, especially after being off a year with no income at all, but we did still keep payroll going, and thanks to, like I said, the Mattioli family and Nick. But, to win that would be such an honor. And I'm certainly hoping, I want people to go out. I think you can vote 3 times a day is what I understand. Yep. And people will go out and vote for us. And I know there are other tracks that deserve just as much as we do. But of course, I'm going to say South Boston Speedway deserves it more. And I hope we do get that 50K, and it would be really nice to do some more upgrades here.
Listen, I totally understand why you're endorsing the place that you've spent so many years at. Before I let you go, give me a good story about Chris Rice, your son.
I'll tell you what Wayne Alton tells him every time he has to bring him to the truck. He says, if you don't behave, I'm calling your mama. But no, I think one of the things that probably a lot of people don't know is they used to call him in school, they would call him PJ, Precious Jelly. And that's what it stood for. And he was, he was large for his age. And then, of course, he's a health freak now. He runs and works out and all that. But they would call him that. And he actually, at the Halifax County Fair, he actually done the womanless interview. And they would dress up. He had on his little skimpy bathing suit and everything. And, of course, I think, if I'm not mistaken, he either won or come in second place. But you can always say, I bet you if you called him PJ, he would know exactly where you were coming from. And he's going to say, where did you hear that?
Listen, PJ, Precious Jelly, I'm going to make sure that at least my former partner, AJ Allmendinger, is given that information. Cathy,
Yes,
it's a pleasure.
please
It's an honor. Congratulations. You are an inspiration to other promoters. And I've said this when I've given speeches. There was a period of time where you were called a track operator. But now in this 21st century, we're back to being track promoters.
That's great. That's wonderful. And Jack, thank you so much for having me on your show. I really do love it. And I hope to talk to you again later down the road. And, like I said, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here.
Thanks so much.
Be sure to join us again next week for another trip to racing's grassroots with the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Victory Lap. Brought to you by the NASCAR Advanced Auto Parts Weekly Series, advancing the next generation of drivers and champions. I'm Kyle Rickey from the Motor Racing Network.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
White flag is out. Dario Franchitti takes the defensive line into one. Sato taking a peek.
Inside. Keep going. Keep going, buddy. Yellow.
The yellow is out.
Should have waited till coming out of two. We talked about that.
We talked about his patience.
Checkered flag is in the air, and the 101st Indianapolis 500 is won by Takuma Sato.
This race will not be red flagged, and it will finish under yellow with Takuma Sato winning his second Indianapolis 500.
Well, throughout his career in IndyCar racing, he has lived by the adage, no attack, no chance. May have failed him in 2012 on his white flag last-ditch attempt to pass Dario Franchitti. But since then, he now has his face on the Borg Warner Trophy twice, including the most recent greatest spectacle in racing. We're talking about Ray Hall Letterman Lanigan's ace from Japan, Takuma Sato. Takuma, welcome to the wind tunnel. And by the way, thanks so much for joining us today.
No, of course. Thanks for having me, and always have a pleasure to talk to you, Jack. And it's hello, everyone.
Let me walk away a little bit from the specifics of your career. And you're kind of an expatriate, so to speak, in the fact that each year in the NTT IndyCar season, you move by yourself to the United States of America, leaving behind a support system in Japan. How difficult has that been?
Well, before that, I think we have to talk about a little bit my background career in Europe too. So I started racing really late, since 20 years old, and I got scholarship from the Suzuka Racing School. Then obviously went to UK to go through all the junior Formula, British Formula 3 made me happen to Formula 1 eventually. And so therefore, my almost the entire career, it's been outside of Japan. However, I have incredible support from Japan, as you can see on the background. So very happy, very fortunate, and very proud of that. But it's a great support from Japan. And since then, my career, it's done a Formula One, and well, it was kind of 8-season-ish. And then 2010, I had a great opportunity to come to the States and start a career. Now, of course, back in then, we have Indy Japan. So 2010 and then 11, we had an enormous the fan base in Japan, and it was just so great event it was. I wish could continue from now on then, but it's happened. So, but since then, of course, I find a great home in IndyCar, and then I mean, this is 11th season, and it's just unbelievable that how many years I've done that in the States. But it's all about appreciate with these fans and, of course, all these sponsors.
How Americanized have you become?
I think almost everything is Americanized. I don't know, Jack. I have a great friends now in the States, as well as Europe, of course. But I'm pretty get used to how I live in the States and how can I say, accommodate in here too. So both happy. Of course, I've been in the States only during the season. So off season, there is lots of the sponsor event appearances and so on. So I usually go back to Japan after the season end, which usually like September, October-ish. Last year was obviously long season, so it was November. But through the November, December, January, these 3 months I've been in Japan and doing lots of activity. So even though I'm pretty much Americanized, but I'm still, of course, Japanese, and I can live in both ways.
I want to circle back to 2012 and the symmetry that finally was created when in 2020, you were able to deliver that elusive victory to Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan Racing. In Victory Lane, that seemed to overcome you just a little bit. It was almost as if, check the box, I've repaid the debt.
Definitely. You're right, Jack. Definitely. I mean, it's winning 500, not just once, but twice. It's just obviously very special circumstance and very special moment. Happy myself, happy for my country, and happy for everyone, of course, but most particularly for the team, because everybody knows in 2012 what happened to the last lap into turn one, as you described at the very beginning. And it took 8 years, but I was always thinking about that. I felt I owed a win for the team, and then particularly for the Bobby and Mike Lanigan in very particular, and of course David Letterman, that those three owners waited for me for a long time, believe in me long time, and I was finally able to deliver them as a result I wanted in 2012. So it was a huge tick the box for sure.
As we watched the race unfold last year, there was a different Takuma Sato, at least as a fan watching behind the wheel. A little less no attack, no chance, and a lot more of let me see what my car is doing and how I, Takuma Sato, can adjust to it and maximize it. Am I onto something?
I think you're correct. Yeah, I mean, in a way, my car has not been changed in core part. But yes, as the overall performance and the managing how the situation, it has been developed for sure. And that's the just nature of the name of the sport. Every athlete wanted to be better every day. And so I jump in a car every time and go testing or racing weekend. I always learning. I always find something. And then for sure, with the various experiences in Indy 500, now I really understand what you really need to get to be there. And maybe first few seasons, I couldn't really understand the whole mechanism, what you really need. It took, several years, but then now I know it. I got a great environment. And yes, I attack 100% when I really need it. which you've seen even last year, a couple of occasions, I go to the maximum attack. But other than that, you know, you have to really manage with all the risk and what's coming in ahead, and particularly planning for the tire usage, the conditions in yourself and the cars, and you're looking at the resource, and you need to apply 100% when you really need it. And that's how I was able to do so in last year. So every year I'm learning something, and finally, yes, in 2020 it was a more completed way to produce the result, perhaps even more than the 2017 winning.
We're on the brink of finally dropping the green flag at Barber Motorsports Park and starting the 2021 NTT IndyCar season. A couple of episodes ago, we chatted with your teammate, Graham Rahal, who pretty much alluded to that the Rahal, Letterman, Lanigan operation made some marked improvements in the offseason. Without giving away any trade secrets, where do you think most of the improvement came from?
Well, I think it just how can I say, the consistency of the working development. I know other teams doing exactly the same thing, and of course in the big teams like Penske, Ganassi, and Raytheon Sport, they're all doing the same things. But it's just a continuous of the making a really fundamental structure, and that's the engineering and the drivers and the boys. And I think the Rahal team is committed so much, and Graham and I obviously working extremely well over the past few seasons, working together and pushing together like hell, and lays a whole level for the team. And I was able to do so because of the team fundamentally supporting us really, really well. On top of that, probably we are the team, how can I say, changing the color livery of the car race by race, which again is a big accomplish for and a great job for the marketing team in the team did an excellent job. That's financially, I think we're making stable stability for the team. Therefore, we can get a great boys and great engineers, and of course, can maintain the two drivers at the same status. So I think that's working really well. You know, when I rejoined 2018, perhaps Rahal team was one of the most successful single car team back then. But then with the various regulation change, we had a tough year in 2018. But then 19 and 20, we show tremendous progress. We're not to be the top of the game yet, but I think the season, if you look at the performance, we show tremendous speed, both Graham and I. So I'm pretty happy with that, and we need to continue to raise this bar for the 2021.
Before we end our conversation, Japan proudly, after having forced by COVID-19 to postpone the Summer Olympics, are set and ready, and they've begun the torch relay. Everybody in America wants to know, are they going to include you in that torch relay as one of the Japanese heroes?
Right. We'll see. I think it was an honor to receive. We've had opportunity with that, but with the various how can I say, the still some travel restriction with the quarantine rule, and it is during the season in July. So it's going to be tricky, Jack. You know, even they properly invited me, and even if I could do it, that was a plan last year, obviously. But we'll see. I love to do that. For that, it's a great honor for the country. That's the way it was the great representative for the NTT IndyCar Series. If I could carry the torch, that'd be wonderful for once for your life. Amazing opportunity.
Well, and it would be even more amazing if everything comes together and you do get to do it, if you do it in your fire suit.
I love to do so as much as you could, but I think in strictly speaking, with the technical regulation for the Olympics, I don't think I can do that. But anyway.
Listen, it's always a pleasure to visit with you. As I said, we are all looking forward with great excitement for the start of the 2020 campaign. For you, your teammate Graham Rahal and Rahal Letterman Lanigan Racing, it is our profound wish that you gain much success. And who knows, you may get a third face on that Borg Warner trophy come May.
Yeah, of course, we will try to get it with 100% commitment, and there is no reason why we can't do it. Obviously, extremely difficult, extremely challenging, but that's how we live. And certainly, I'm really excited to go back to the IMS as a defending winner, as well as so looking forward to see you guys and to see you at the fans at Speedway, because last year it was just so sad, it was just so empty, which we don't want to see again. So hopefully even limited number perhaps, but love to see all the fans and the buzzing about all about 500. It is atmosphere and tradition. So let's do that.
Takuma, thanks so much for visiting us here in the wind tunnel.
Thank you very much, Jack.
We'll be right back, right here on Jack Arut's Wind Tunnel.
Hey race fans, Brian Blaney here. I wouldn't be a NASCAR Cup driver if it weren't for all I learned and the support I received while racing at the local grassroots level. Advanced Auto Parts has partnered with NASCAR in an effort to support hometown racetracks and plant their flag in local racing communities. They're starting a program called the Advance My Track Challenge, where they're awarding one local track $50,000 to help their efforts in advancing their track and fan experience. Get out there and vote for your local racetrack. The next generation of drivers will be happy that you did.
With Advance Auto Parts, you can get the part you need from the comfort of your garage. We have a wide variety of parts in stock, and you can get them fast. Order online with Advance Same Day and get your part with same-day pickup in-store, same-day curbside, or same-day delivery. It's the fastest way to get the part you need, where you need it, when you need it. Advance your auto at Advance Auto Parts and participating CarQuest locations. See store for details.
So, it's time to shut down the wind tunnel for another week. Quick reminder, next week we will be bringing you a very special edition of Wind Tunnel. It's our first ever race fan town hall meeting that we held just a few days ago with panelists from Advance Auto Parts, the NTT IndyCar Series, and NASCAR's Weekly Series, as well as NASCAR's Cup Series. I hope that you'll join us for that. My thanks to Mario Andretti for his humorous introduction to this episode, and my thanks to my guests this week, Ryan Blaney of NASCAR's Cup Series, South Boston Speedway's Cathy Rice, Kaulig Racing's team manager Chris P.J. Rice's mom, and Indy 500 champion Takuma Sato. Until next week, I'm Jack Arut, wishing all of you a very happy Passover and, of course, a happy Easter. I'll see you next week.
Today's trip to the wind tunnel was brought to you by
Advance Auto Parts, the official auto parts retailer of NASCAR.
Sono Mario Andretti e stai ascoltando Jack Arut sul Wind Tunnel.